Okay, so today I'm doing an episode on tips for sticking to your holiday budget. So I've been dying to do this episode. I hope you like it. It's something that I really enjoy working on all throughout the year, and each year like updating and tweaking my holiday budget to get it as perfect as I possibly can. So what I wanted to talk about first related to sticking to your holiday budget is the fact that the most important part is having a realistic budget that includes everything. I think that where people fall short a lot of times with their holiday budget is they'll make a list of all the people that they need to buy for and how much they're going to spend on each person. But they don't consider all of the other things that go along with the holidays besides just those specific direct gifts. If you're planning on just gift purchases, you're probably cutting yourself short on how much you really need to have in your holiday budget. So I want to kind of focus most of this episode on the types of things to consider, just to maybe give you some ideas of some things maybe you haven't thought of that should be included in your holiday budget. And if they are, then great. It's just a reminder. So some things you might need to consider. Are there any special meals or special desserts that you make during the holidays? Because those things usually cost more than your typical grocery budget. So you need to think about, like, are there any special desserts or special ingredients that you need to buy for certain dishes you make? All of those types of things you want to include in your holiday budget so that they don't catch you off guard when you need to go out and purchase those items. Are there any special meals maybe you go out for? Like, for example, me and my daughters, when we go out Black Friday shopping, over the last couple years, we just started a tradition where we go to IHOP for breakfast first. So I started including that breakfast, the cost of that breakfast, in my holiday budget to make sure it's covered. So are there any of those types of meals? Do you maybe go out for like a holiday meal with friends, or do you maybe go out with your family? Are you part of maybe some type of group that hosts a holiday meal or a holiday brunch that maybe you pay a fee to attend or something like that? Think of any dining out that might happen around the holidays that you might need to set aside money for. Make sure you're including a budget for your holiday cards and stamps. If you're going to be mailing out cards or anything like that, you want to make sure that you have the cost of the cards and the stamps included in your budget. If you have kids, you want to also include, if you're getting photos taken first to put on the card, you would want to include the cost of that also. Do you have any events that maybe any events that you attend that maybe charge an entrance fee? Like, for example, maybe you do like a drive-through light show, or maybe there's like a holiday display at a local park that might charge a fee to enter, or things like that. We usually do some type of drive-through light display that has like a flat fee per car. So I always make sure to budget for that. And then I usually also put something aside too for sometimes there'll be like home displays in the neighborhood, like really big elaborate ones, and they'll collect donations for a charity or something if you go visit them. So we'll put some money aside for that also, so that if we want to go see any of those, we can make a donation to whatever the cause they're collecting for. Do you purchase gifts for charity? Some schools, your kids maybe will be collecting for Toys for Tots or something like that. Or if maybe your church might have like a giving tree where you take a tag and then you purchase for someone. Make sure that that's included in your budget also, if you haven't already included it in your like list of gifts that you need to purchase. My kids do one of those advent calendars every year where it's like, you know, you pop open a little door, there's a chocolate inside. Is there anything like that? They're not super expensive, but they can be depending on the ones that you get. So maybe you want to include those in your budget. Gift bags, tissue paper, gift tags, all of those need to be included. Even if you have a supply that you bought on clearance last year, like I always do, you still want to include dollars for those in your budget, because most likely you might need to stock up again for next year. Like maybe if you're going to do clearance again after the holidays, and you're going to go out and stock up on wrapping paper or things like that, you still want to have some money in the budget for that. What about things like gingerbread house kits or anything special, like a crafty type thing you might want to do? for the holidays. Include those in your budget. This year, I'm thinking probably not, but some years, maybe you're going to go to a party that you might need like an ugly Christmas sweater for, or a certain type of themed outfit or anything like that. If you might have something like that, make sure to include that in your budget. Do you have any special holiday drinks that you buy? It could be something like sparkling cider, like my kids like sparkling cider for like around Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. Even I think New Year's, I usually get that for them. Any certain alcoholic drinks you might purchase, sodas, anything like that that's kind of out of your normal spending routine, that are kind of extra special things that you buy for the holidays. Because all of these things, if they might seem small individually, but when you add all of these up, they really add up to a lot, and it just feels so much nicer to know you already have the money set aside for them when you do go out and purchase them. I also include in my holiday budget an amount for the day after Christmas shopping, or whatever holidays you celebrate. If there's like a time period when items related to that holiday go on clearance. For me, we always go the day after Christmas looking for clearance stuff. It might be wrapping paper, decorations, who knows, whatever I might happen to come across that's on clearance, that is something I need or really would like to have. So we put some money aside for that too, and me and my daughters go out and do that shopping to see what we might need to get. And then I also include New Year's Eve in the budget also. There's things like, again, drinks, appetizers, hats, the little blower things, all of that kind of stuff. I do include a budget for, just to make sure that when the time comes, I'm not stressing out that we spent too much and we don't have any more money set aside. It's all included in our budget. And then I do also include a small miscellaneous category, because even though my budget is super detailed, and if you create a super detailed budget, it always seems that something else comes up. It might be, who knows what, like maybe your child gets invited to a little gathering with their friends and you need to chip in for a gift, or maybe they're doing like a gift exchange and you have to purchase a gift, or they need to bring like extra cookies, or they have to bring a snack or dessert or whatever. Many different things can come up during the holidays, and it's good to just have a small little miscellaneous category to catch anything else that you didn't include in your detailed budget. So that's the most important part, creating that detailed budget. And it can, if you're not at that point yet where you have a detailed budget but you want to get there, you can develop it over time. Each year when you notice something you forgot, then put it on the list for next year, and you just kind of keep developing it over time until you really get it perfected, and then you can have this great budget that you really know exactly what you're going to need to set aside for when the holiday time comes. So once you have your budget, you do need to make sure you stick to your plan. Especially when it comes to buying gifts for others, make sure you stick to the budget that you set, because it's so easy to want to get extra things or go a little bit over for the people on your list. You can get them a really special gift. But if you take your time and try not to get caught up in all of the heavy marketing that's going on during the holiday season, you can often find something that's special and also fits within your budget. Because unless you know that there's a few extra dollars available in your budget, you don't want to grab extra stuff that's not on your list, either for additional gifts or for extra things that you just happened to see that were cute but you didn't really have in your budget and you didn't really intend to purchase in the first place. Really try and stay focused on what's in your budget and what you really want to the store to purchase, because they do make everything so cute and everything looks so nice, and they have the bows, and they just make it really tempting to purchase other things that you didn't intend to buy. But if you do find something that's not part of your budget and you really feel like you must purchase it, whether it's for yourself or for someone else, the suggestion that they give is to give yourself a day. Really try not to make impulse purchases, because like I was just saying, the stores are set up this time of year to really sucker you into making those impulse purchases. So if you do see something and you do have a little bit of money set aside and you really, really, truly feel like it's something that you really would like to get, just think it over. Check your budget to see if you can make it work, and then make a decision the next day. That'll help you with making those impulse purchases. when you just kind of unexpectedly see something in the store that you really never thought of or never had any intention of buying. So yeah, and then the next important tip is to track your expenses against your budget. I think this is pretty much across the board with any budgeting. It's the same with holiday budgeting. If you're not tracking to your budget, it's really extremely difficult to know how much you've spent and what you have remaining to spend. So it's a good idea to record your purchases against your budget as soon as you get home from a shopping trip or right after you've purchased something online. So, we always think that we're going to remember what we've already purchased and how much we have left to spend. But if you're not tracking it, it's so hard to remember what's already been bought and what you have left to spend for the different people or the different spending categories that you might have in your budget. And what I do, which might be a good idea, or if you have an app on your phone, maybe where you track it, but I keep mine in an Excel spreadsheet. But what I'll do is I'll print out the most recent copy of my holiday budget, the amount by person. I don't typically print out the stuff for like those other miscellaneous categories, because those I kind of just track and I know if I've purchased those items or not. But like my list of people and what I've already purchased and what I have left to spend, I'll bring that as my shopping list so I could see who I have to purchase for and what I have to spend, like what is my budget for each of those people. Because I actually have purchased, especially for like my nieces, because I'll see something that's so cute and I'm like, oh, I want to get that for her, and then I'll forget that maybe 2-3 months ago, because I shop throughout the year, I saw something really cute and I already bought it and stuck it aside. So now I have 2 gifts. So I'll sometimes, thankfully, based on the timing, I'll be able to stick it aside for a birthday or something like that. But that doesn't always work out. So it's important to have your most recent information with you if you're going to be out shopping. So those are kind of like the basics. It's the most important thing really is to have a detailed budget and to track it. And really try and do the best you can to stick to your plan, because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of the holiday season and finding out you spent more than you could afford and now you have to try and recover from it. So just some other random tips related to holiday spending and sticking to your budget for the year for the holidays. So if you have children, they'll often ask for things that are really expensive, and it can be really tempting to try and get them everything they ask for, because you want them to have this really great experience. You want them to wake up and open all these gifts and get everything that they wanted to. But it's really not worth it if it's going to put you over budget and cause you to spend money that you don't really have for those gifts. And I'm sure we've all had, or at least most people I think have probably had those Christmases where you've got all of these gifts for your kids if you have children, or for whoever else you might be purchasing for. And before you know it, they're all open, they're set aside, and then they're not even really thinking about them anymore, except for maybe some special ones that were like super special. And a lot of times the rest just kind of get thrown aside, and then at some point they get picked up and put away. And you just think, wow, we spent all that money on all these gifts, and some of them aren't even really that special. So depending on your kid's age, one tip I can suggest, if this works for you, if it's something you're comfortable with, is share the Christmas budget with your child, like what your spending budget is for each individual kid if you have children. Of course, I wouldn't do that with relatives, but like with your children, if you want to tell them, I have approximately this much that I've budgeted for gifts for you this year, and can you think of some things that fall within that budget? Because I think it really helps them write a list that is within that dollar amount, and it really helps them prioritize what they really want. Because if they don't have that kind of dollar amount to kind of box them in, they're going to see so many different things that they want, because it's the same thing for them. They're being marketed to, and they see all these things and they look great. And if they don't really kind of have a limit to kind of make them really think what they really want, it's difficult for them too. So I think that works well for me. That's just a tip if maybe that might work for you. If you are going to do that, I would suggest leaving yourself a cushion above the amount you tell them, because there's always like those other little extra things you might want to get them, like stocking stuffers or like the typical socks and underwear type things. So I do suggest leaving some extra cushion in your budget that they might not necessarily be aware of for when they're putting their list together. Another tip is to create your budget for next year as soon as the holidays are over for this year, because it'll give you time to adjust while things are still fresh in your mind. Like, think of the things, what did you miss in this year's budget? What caused you to go over? Just kind of think of all those things while they're fresh in your mind, they just happen, and set up your budget for next year. And then another tip is to start shopping early. I mean early as far as I have started shopping some years the day after Christmas because there's so many good sales, and certain things, depending on who you're buying for, sometimes there's things you can buy. Like we do like a gift exchange at work. I've bought like cute little stemless wine glasses. There's just different things that you can possibly get gifts for people that aren't going to have like a real specific request, and you can find something that might be really nice on a discount. But by setting your budget at the beginning of the year and just shopping throughout the year, you don't have to be going out holiday shopping. But if you're out in the stores and you happen to see something and you think, oh, that would be really great for this person, and you already know what your budget is and it fits within your budget, you could just buy it and set it aside. And then by the time the holidays come, you could have the most of your shopping already done, and it just puts that much less stress on you during that season, and it gives you time to always be on the lookout for that great gift. So that, I think, is really a great tip if you're not already doing that, to try and get into the habit of that if you can. And you do want to make sure that when you're purchasing these things throughout the year, that you're keeping that budget spreadsheet updated. You don't want to forget, and then 6 months later you go out shopping for the holidays and you forgot that 3 months ago you purchased a gift for someone. So make sure you keep that budget spreadsheet updated. One other thing that I do want to point out though is, by shopping throughout the year, you don't have to make all those last minute purchases that might end up putting you over budget, because your choices are limited at that time. So the sooner you can really kind of get looking and just take your time, and maybe you're in a gift shop or wherever you're at throughout the course of the year, just kind of always be keeping in mind what you might be able to purchase for individuals on your list. The only area where I would probably not recommend doing that is for certain age children or like teenagers, because they usually change their mind all through the course of the year of what they're really going to want. I mean, my kids are changing their mind up until like 2 weeks before Christmas. So, the things that they want always change. So I wouldn't necessarily do it for them, but certain things you can. Like if you see like really cute socks on sale that that they'll like, you could stick them aside for like an extra little gift, or maybe a stocking stuffer or a hairbrush. I don't know, just things like that you might be able to put aside. And then my very last tip is to make sure that you enjoy the holidays. Don't stress yourself out by buying more than you can afford. Anyone that really cares about you is not going to be concerned about how much you spent on their gift. So once you know what your budget is and how much you can afford, really try and make sure you stick to that, and don't cause yourself stress by going over what you had wanted to spend. Make sure you plan out fun things. Have a baking day with your family. Maybe package up some of what you make and give them for little gifts for friends and family. Just really make sure you take the time to do the things that you really enjoy, and don't let going over budget ruin some of your time and stress you out. So that's all I have for today. I hope maybe some of these tips will help you. And yes, if you'd like to reach out to me, please contact me with any tips, suggestions, anything you'd like to reach out to me for by contacting me through Facebook. You can reach me at facebook.com/LolasFrugalLife. If you'd like to join the listeners group, it's a private listeners group. You have to submit a request to join. That's located at facebook.com/groups/LolasFrugalLife. I check it every day, so as soon as I see a request, I will approve it. Also, if you like this show, please don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And also, if you like the show, if you would be kind enough to leave me a 5-star review, that would be much appreciated. It's supposed to really help with others finding the show. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a really awesome day.